All right, the tough battle in Mississippi's GOP Senate primary between incumbent and establishment guy Thad Cochran and challenger Chris McDaniel, who is backed by the Tea Party, just got a whole lot tougher after Tuesday's primary ended in a runoff. See, McDaniel got 1,400 more votes than Cochran, but failed to lock up the 50% needed, which means there's going to be a runoff election on June 24th. Now, the Tea Party groups of Mississippi have already said they're willing to do whatever it takes to get McDaniel over the top. And this race has seen its fair share of controversy. Well, here's the latest example. On election night, 3 people connected to McDaniel's campaign were trapped inside a Mississippi County courthouse after hours, when the polls had closed and the doors were locked and the votes were going to be counted. Originally, reports suggested that there could have been some kind of election tampering, but the Hinds County Sheriff investigated and said there is no evidence that suggests any kind of foul play. To talk more about just what's going on is U.S. Senate candidate from Mississippi, Republican State Senator Chris McDaniel. All right, Chris, what's going on here? What is going on? We've had the Thad Cochran, his wife, the break-in in his wife's infirmary, and now this. What's going on? Well,
what it boils down to, those in power will do anything to stay and maintain their hold on power. These are the things they want to talk about. They want to talk about distractions. They want to talk about imagined scandals. What's important here is to recognize that the Hinds County Sheriff's Department made it perfectly clear that no crime was committed. But it won't stop them from talking about distractions. And the reason they talk about distractions is because they simply cannot talk about Thad Cochran's 42-year voting record, which is very, very liberal. Nor can they talk about a single fight that he's led against Barack Obama. Nor can they talk about any vision that he has for our state, Andrew, and that's the reason that he so far has not agreed to debate me. They want to talk about scandal politics and mudslinging instead of sticking to the issues that matter to the people of Mississippi.
I'm calling you Chris for this interview because you and I have talked one-on-one, far and away from cameras and microphone. So I'm going to say this. I think you're getting sabotaged here. I think you've got some people that, might have joined your campaign as it expanded and you got more attention, whose interests might not be your own.
Well, I know this. I know this. God has a plan, and we trust His plan. And we likewise know that there are elements out there, not necessarily within our campaign, but outside of the campaign, that will do anything and everything they can to distract from the real issues and to maintain their control of power. But the thing that was so great about last Tuesday night was that the people of Mississippi, they were heard. They awakened. We had a huge turnout. We won the race. We can't quite declare victory just yet, naturally, because we have to get over that 50.1 margin. But at the same time, to have more votes than a 42-year incumbent is absolutely an amazing historic accomplishment. And the people of our state are ready for change. They know that Washington is broken. They know that Senator Cochran and career politicians are part of the problem, and that's why they chose a different route. So we look forward to the 24th, and we're going to win this race once and for all on that day.
Who's the third guy? Was it McCrary? Was that his name?
No, it was a fellow from North Mississippi, and he was able to get just a small fraction of the vote, but it was just enough to keep this thing from being decided that evening. It's amazing. They were able to recruit a large number of Democrats as well to help Senator Cochran, and that's another reason that they were able to keep the race into a runoff. They had a number of crossover votes where Democrats supported his candidacy, and now his campaign is actively recruiting those same Democrats.
No, what I was asking
to come back
was if the third guy in the race had dropped out and those votes had gone to you, would you have been over the 50.1%? Was there enough votes there?
Yes.
Okay.
Certainly. There were. We were so close there for a moment that we were confident we would win that evening. That's how close we were. Yeah, to answer your question, probably so. But, we've moved past that now. We recognize that we have a couple more weeks to fight. And this is a fight that we've enjoyed. We love meeting the people of Mississippi. We know they're ready for change. And when this date comes around on the 24th, we're confident we're going to win this once and for all.
What do you think is going to happen next? Again, you're a good guy, Chris. Maybe you don't want to accuse anyone on your campaign of really kind of being instinct. I know you got someone that used to work with Newt. I'm just saying this, not you. But I think that if it looks like you're going to win this runoff, the establishment operatives are going to turn up the heat on you. And I think we have not seen the last controversy.
Well, that may be the case. I think they'll do anything to hold on to power. I think they'll lie. I think they'll distort. We've seen evidence of that. I think they'll create things out of thin air. What matters, though, are the issues that affect the people of Mississippi. Mississippians understand that, and they're not going to fall for the cheap tricks. They're not going to fall for the Washington, D.C. way. We're grassroots conservatives. We understand what's right. We understand what's wrong. We understand it's wrong that he voted to fund Obamacare. We understand it's wrong that he's voted to increase our taxes. We understand it's wrong that he's voted 24 times to increase the debt ceiling. Senator Cochran has not been the conservative we've asked him to be, and there's no scandal in the world that can change that. There's no accusation in the world that can change that. Mississippi is the most conservative state in the Republic. It needs the most conservative senator in the Republic. Well,
we know that the Tea Party groups are going to double down their efforts. Here's the thing, and this is why I think you're in good position, despite all this other stuff that the media is focusing in on. I don't think the establishment has the passion that the grassroots groups have in Mississippi. That if the Tea Party is willing to stay, maybe even bring in some volunteers from surrounding states to really make sure that every one of your voters comes back, plus some of the people that might have voted for the third guy, maybe even some small percentage of people that just voted for Cochran because they recognize his name, then you're over the top.
That's right. We have a remarkable chance to really make history. We've already made it one time with the race twos tonight, but can you imagine the shock waves that will go through Washington, D.C. once the people of Mississippi have finally awakened and finally have had their say? And they're going to have their say on June the 24th. They're excited. They're enthusiastic. They know what conservatism is all about, and they're willing to fight for that. And that's one of the reasons our ground game has been so tremendous. People all over the state, hundreds if not thousands of Mississippians fighting for their core principle beliefs. And Andrew, that is absolutely inspiring for someone like me. The way we save this country is to wake up the people. If the people ever awaken, there's nothing Washington, D.C. could do to stop us. That's what we're seeing in Mississippi. That's why this race is such a big deal. To defeat a 42-year incumbent with a groundswell of grassroots conservatism, that changes the ball game forever. And that's why we're going to win this race.
Well, here's one for you. Thad Cochran's refused to debate you all this time, right?
Yes, sir, that's correct. He will not debate me.
Well, then you should think about it if all of a sudden that he agrees to. If all of a sudden he says, all right, I'll debate you now, you have to know there's a dirty trick up his sleeve.
Yeah, that's fair, I suppose. I know this. I know that after 42 years he can't defend his record. I know he has no vision for the state of Mississippi. He's not answering questions with the press. He's not holding town halls. He's not getting around to see individuals. He's been very, very sheltered during the campaign. And there's a reason for that, naturally. It's because of his liberal voting record. So we look forward to the opportunity. If that opportunity arises, I doubt at this point that it will. But we do look forward to it.
All right, Chris, thank you so much for joining me. Have a great weekend. All right, time for tonight's memorandum.